Today, we recognize the men who've hacked the system.
Hack the system!
Once mediocre in the men's division, now cream of the crop in the women's.
From mediocre to champion!
You couldn't cut it with the boys, so you pushed women off the podium.
Real man!
I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is going on here with this perspective here?
So this particular bill adds the very important factor that affirming a child's gender identity is in their best interest. By saying and rejecting it in wholesale, then you're essentially rejecting your child. And that is not in the best interest of a child. We should be affirming our children in every possible way and getting them whatever appropriate care they need, whether it's based on their gender, whether it's based on how their studies are in school. It doesn't matter. Our children should be affirmed. And this is saying that you have to include gender affirmation as a...
You serious?
then you're essentially rejecting your child. And that is not in the best interest of a child.
What are you talking about? Somebody help me out. What's wrong with this logic?
Possibly the fact that that's not parenting. That's just being their friend.
Uh-huh.
And just affirming, and you can't see it, but I'm using air quotes, affirming everything a child wants. I mean, one day they want to be a firefighter, the next day they want to be a police officer, the next day they want to be an astronaut. So you're going to shoot your child off in a rocket into space that you make in the backyard? I mean, what? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's stupid logic.
Yeah, it is. But do you notice the perspective of parental rights being stripped from them as well? At the root of this bill, there is this idea that being a mother, being a father, being a parent, and having authority, what do you call that? Having the right to make decision for the child is going over to the state instead of the parent. Do you get the perspective?
And that's what they want.
But it's almost
what they've been pushing for.
Yeah, it's coming under the notion of abuse, as if that not doing this for the child is a form of abuse. So therefore, we have the right to step in and take the child from you so that we can raise the child in a way that we think is appropriate.
Yep. So that we can indoctrinate them into the way our think.
It's interesting. And I think the next video also goes a little bit deeper, because that perspective is, from what I'm hearing from these individuals, they hate parents. There is a hatred of parents in this ideology, and I think it's very demonic.
Yeah, because parents are the biggest form of pushback they're having against this crap.
Yep. Look at this.
Let's talk about parental rights for a second, because it's become evident that it's being used currently in this fight against queer people, and especially queer kids, who need more protections than ever before. Like in Saskatchewan and in the US, parental rights are being used to thwart any rights of autonomy that the kid might have. And I'm sorry, but kids do have autonomy. We've already established this. For example, if a kid needs a blood transfusion and the parents don't want to, it's not the parent's right to refuse that blood transfusion for that kid, because it is life-saving. In the same respect, if a kid only needs to use a different name and pronoun in school, there might be a reason, and a good reason, they're not coming out at home. And they need a safe place to be themselves. And so to hell with this idea of parental rights when it comes to kids who have their own consent and then their own bodily autonomy and their own autonomy to their personhood that need to be protected. Let's talk about parental.
All right, help me fight against this argument, please.
So,
what is this person talking about?
Basically, she wants to strip parents of their rights to be able to decide how their children are raised. And it's absurd. Her arguments are absurd and blatantly false. Yes, a blood transfusion, that's one thing. This is the problem. This is what people on the left do. They always take it to the most extreme possible level. Okay. The problem is this isn't an extreme. This is something simple.
Mm.
I don't want my kid getting on hormone blockers because one day they think they're a girl and the
Mhm.
next they think they're a boy. You
Mhm.
know, it's that's not how it works.
Mhm.
And I'm not just going to sit by and let you strip my rights
Mm.
for whatever reason because you think it's their right to have bodily autonomy
Mhm.
in that, you know, I can't make medical decisions for my child.
Yeah. There's this concept known as child-centered parenting. Have you heard that before?
No,
It's like you as a parent is to raise the child according to the child's desires and perspective.
that's
It's-
completely backwards
but that's
to,
not what
uh,
parenting is.
yeah,
Because there's a lot, like you said earlier, there's a lot of things children want. If we were to give to them, they will be dead by now.
yeah. Kids don't know what they want. Like they'll turn around and, you
Yeah,
know, oh, I look, bottle of candy, and
yeah,
it's, you know, all your medication. You know, it could do them great harm, and
yeah, yeah,
you know, but oh well, we're supposed to let them do what they want, bodily autonomy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
next thing you know, you got a kid in the hospital on an overdose.
I- It's ridiculous. So, somebody asked earlier, Annie, you asked about 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. I haven't heard that. I haven't read it. I I have the Naked Communist. This is a very interesting book. Um, if you read the 45 goals of communists, it's about page 297. Um, in actually the 17th goal, if each one of those is almost like it feels prophetic. It feels like, yo, these are the things that going on right now.
Hmm.
Um, get control of the schools, use them as transmission belt for socialism in current communist propaganda, soften the curriculum, get control of teachers association, put the party line in textbook. So yeah, and it also goes as far as talking about Judeo-Christian values are to be attacked. There is also separating parents from their children. So there is this concept that the children ought not to trust their parents. So children goes to school and they
They,
come home a different gender.
yeah,
Like what in the world? like
we did a whole video on it when we did one about the KGB defector.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Anyway, I think JB Awaken with JP is gonna give us something to smile about a little bit here because we can, I have a study that I've done on different philosophers, and actually, I plan on preaching it. I'm not sure how soon, but I call it the philosophy of despairs. When you study the nature of it's postmodernism, right? The theory that my truth is my truth, your truth is your truth, kind of thing. Truth is
Hmm.
subjective to my nature instead of truth being objective from the authority of God's word. So when you study what's going on behind the transgender ideology, it is postmodernism,
Hmm.
and that's a philosophy. It creates total despair, and when people are in despair, what they often also find is they have to amplify a particular trait in their character as a mean of significance. So,
To cope.
so they magnify their sexuality, and it's always like when you go far back into paganistic ideology, one thing that was very prominent, sexual promiscuity was kind of considered the highest praise to the gods. So the more perverted your sexuality was, the greater was your worship. So
Hmm.
you find this connection with the trans movement. It has a religious connotation to it, but it's a philosophy that is rooted in a misconception of having true identity as it is found in Jesus. It's a false conception of identity. So it's like what it does. Postmodernism strips you of your origin, it strips you of your identity, it strips you of your destiny as well, and also meaning. It leaves you in a place of despair. This is what is a serious mental health in this area. There's a serious confusion among these people. It's good to study postmodernism and the connection it has with LGBTQ ideology, it will blow your mind because you will see everything that's wrong with our culture. And what happened is that stuff is rooted in communist propaganda, and it is at the heart of our education system.
Mhm.
That's why we're in this mess. We can go on and on. That will take a whole other sermon. Anyway, well, let's go to JP. Let's laugh a little bit. God damn, he's ridiculous. All right, let's get to the video.
Need a palate cleanse.
Yep. When I was a kid, my parents affirmed my identity. Easter Bunny. I had good parents. They always affirmed me. My parents affirmed my identity. Yeah, I told them what I am, and they affirmed me. No questions asked. And now, 30 years later, I'm still a clown. Good parents believe all kids at all times, is what they used to say. I hate my life. Yep, I was born a girl, and then one day when I was 3, my brother dressed me up in his clothes. I came out of the bedroom and said, "Look, Mommy and Daddy, I'm a boy." They got pretty happy about affirming that. Hey, I'm 42 years old, and I'm a pirate. I would love to not be a pirate. This is pretty permanent. When I was 7, my mom asked me, "What do you want to be for Halloween?" And I said, "I want to be a pirate." Then she turned me into a pirate. Got the surgery, got this leg amputated. She gouged my eye out because apparently real pirates are missing an eye. I remember screaming as she was mutilated.
That might sound somewhat ridiculous for some, but I'm going to tell you something. It is not far-fetched from what is actually going on.
Yeah, this is the slippery slope we go down with that train of thought of affirming your child.
Yeah. Have you heard about blind? Okay. Dr. Phil had her on her show. She made herself blind. Yeah, woman says she put drain cleaner in her eyes to blind herself. Yeah, she did that because she felt that she needed to be this blind person. It's part of her identity. Not having eyes is part of her identity. And I know there is a mental health thing that goes in this because some people could feel like cutting a lamb, I don't know what that is called. Again, I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, but there's a lot of mental health issues connected to this. But what JP is talking about here is true. It's actually going on. We're already living in it. So some people believe this is the best way to deal with certain issues, and it's all connected to part of the supposed identity that they.
It's part of body dysphoria where you feel like you have a limb where there shouldn't be one.
Yeah,
and you feel like you're supposed to have this certain disability, so people will literally go out of their way to try to get rid of it at any cost.
Yep. Somebody say, yep, they are stripping their parents from their rights. Yes, they are. All right, let's keep going.
Lady, my eye. Then the pain got even worse when she was amputating my leg to affirm my piracy. Worst pain you can possibly imagine. And his mom was sawing away on my leg. She was reassuring me she's just doing it because she loves me. Now I'm always going to be a pirate. As you can probably tell, I grew up in a very liberal household. One day when I was 6 years old, I was just playing around and I said, "Mommy, I'm the Easter Bunny." And Mom said back to me, "Damn right you are. I believe you, and this is permanent." And then she put me through a pretty intense Easter Bunny transition surgery process. This thing is permanent. It's attached to my spinal cord. Yeah, my mom believed me when I told her that I was a mythical creature that doesn't exist. And here we are. I'm a doctor. I've been a physician since I was 5 years old. Because one day I was putting on costumes and I said, "Look, Mom and Dad, I'm a doctor." That changed my life. And they were very encouraging, insisting, yes, I am a doctor. Then when I was 9 years old, my sister came down with appendicitis. Now, instead of taking her to an actual doctor, my mom was so committed to affirming my identity as a doctor that she made me perform the appendectomy. I had never performed surgery before, but my mom assured me that doesn't matter. I trust you. You're a doctor.
What an ideology. What an ideology.
I don't even think we can call that an ideology at this point. That's just psychotic.
It is. It is delusional. It is delusional that you can believe something in your mind. I mean, the devil is a liar. You can believe something in your mind and then the rest of the world has to just bow the knees. The laws has to change. Our bathroom has to change. Clothing has to be made because you believe that. Wow. Sheesh. But when you say to these people, and this is the thing, and I know people don't like this, some people don't like this, some black people don't like this. When you say a white man says, I'm a black person, or a black person says, I'm a white person, there is this melting down. Wait a minute. Isn't it easier to have different race in you than to actually change your gender? Isn't it easier for a white person to say, oh, I'm black because I have families who are black. Maybe my father is, right? Or maybe a member of my family has some black genes in them. So you could adapt that race much easier. But the race hustlers will have a meltdown. How
they
dare
won't
you?
allow that.
How
You're
dare
too
you?
light skinned.
Yeah, how dare you take the skin color that doesn't belong to you? Wait. But it's okay for a man to take the gender of a woman. It's okay for a woman to take the gender of a man. That is perfectly fine. We're supposed to just let it go.
I don't see where that makes any logic, but then again, I'm a normal, well-balanced human being.
Somebody say, I'm a black person with white skin. Yeah.
I mean
the
somebody
ideology...
actually did that. She would legitimately paint her face and stuff to get black skin.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This
Identified
woman
as
was
black.
She was. Well, I don't know what they did to her. Well, there were a few of them, but this one did it too. Is that her you're talking about?
No, I don't think that was the one. I think it was
She's more
up at the top.
Yeah, she was completely vilified. Oh, there she is. Rachel, yeah, she's a white girl who became black, and she worked among black communities and did amazing thing for black people.
And then turned around and found out she was white.
No, yeah, they rejected her from being black. They rejected her from being black. What? But we're supposed to be okay with a man
you're supposed to
claiming womanhood.
Yeah, and
like
supposed to support their identity. Support what they identify as.
But white people, you dare not touch the black skin. I think that's racist. I think that's really discrimination at its finest. It's crazy to me. I mean, that makes no sense.
You want to break it down to a basic component. I mean, what is racism? Discriminating someone against the color of their skin.
There you go. And you just did that to her.
So,
oh Lord, look at this ideology. Well, you see how much anti-God spirit is in this? This concept that what God created was wrong, so I'm gonna just put on a new form. It's like the deception is so deep, so I'm supposed to believe whatever is in my head instead of reality. So you have to deny objective reality to believe this. I mean, the deception is so deep. I mean, if you told me like 10 years ago we were gonna live in a world where people are actually saying this, believing this, and politicians will sign on to this, I would say, bro, you're a lunatic, you're crazy. That could never be. We are not that crazy as a people. Well,
oh yeah, Bacon.
That's take that back.
Definitely something we've noticed.
Yeah.
Women, men transitioning to women don't want to play in men's sports. It's only the other way around.
That is a good observation. I wonder why this is the case.
And yet, they're like the bottom percentage of the men's category that do this.
Yeah.
But yet when they go to the women's category, oh my goodness, they're the bestest ever. Like, really?
What was the powerlifting person in Canada was saying? Why are the women's weight so light? I'm like, because you're a dude.
Yeah. It's like, because you got bigger muscle mass, you got bigger lungs, you got bigger muscle bones structure.
Oh, I mean, Lord.
Seriously.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? This is lunacy. I mean, gosh. Lord have mercy. So Wait a minute. I know doing the Bud Light confusion, this video had come out from Ron DeSantis, which I thought was spot on. Listen to this.
Team DeSantis presents.
Real man of women's sports.
Today, we recognize the men who've hacked the system.
Hack the system.
Once mediocre in the men's division, now cream of the crop in the women's.
From mediocre to champion.
You couldn't cut it with the boys, so you pushed women off the podium.
Real man still first place.
Because without you, sports would be fair. Without you, women's sports would be for, well, women.
I don't have anything to say. I have nothing else to say. This speaks for itself. It feels wrong, doesn't it?
It doesn't just feel wrong, it is wrong, period.
Then she handed me a steak knife, a pair of pliers, and a spoon. It didn't go too well for my sister. I ended up perforating her colon, and then her appendix burst. She didn't make it through the surgery, but it did take her about 11 agonizing hours to finally pass. It's actually pretty traumatizing to watch and to cause. Even though my mom was sad, she thanked me for doing everything I could. Like it or not, I'm a clown. I can't help it. My parents were very involved in Hollywood, so naturally, when I told my dad I want to be a clown, he made for damn sure I became one. Permanently. Yeah, and believe it or not, facial transition surgery, pretty painful. My parents assured me that God makes mistakes all the time and that I should have been born in an Easter Bunny's body. Have you ever seen old videos of the first airplanes the Wright brothers made and tried to fly? They're super sketchy and downright dangerous, and they're nothing compared to the airplanes of today. Well, back when they forced me to get my affirming surgery, that's where things were at with making penises. And of course, to help further affirm my identity as a pirate, my parents called the FBI and had me arrested for stealing and raping. And I said, well, I didn't do those things. My mom told me, that's what real pirates do, so yes, you did. And then I spent 7 years in a juvenile detention center to help further affirm my identity. The biggest challenge I've ever gone through in my life being a bunny is probably when I almost died from severe malnutrition. My mom only fed me carrots and lettuce because that's what bunnies eat. Now, apparently I have abnormal nutrient requirements for a bunny. Yeah, growing up in California, my parents were really into Buddhism, but apparently they weren't really into his teaching on impermanence.
I mean, vegans.
Is that what he meant?
I mean, you know, you do have vegans, so I mean, you know.
Well, he used to promote some of that New Age concept himself, so
yeah,
I think
he's finally come around.
Yeah, some self-reflection is happening here as well. So,
but I like maybe so if you wanted to be a clown, you could have just became a liberal.
Simple as that.
But apparently they weren't really into his teaching on impermanence. They were all about making things as permanent as possible. My parents believed me when I said I was the Easter Bunny, and they went to great lengths to ensure that I could be the Easter Bunny permanently. For some reason, the medical board is still refusing to grant me a license. Yeah, I don't know what made my parents think I was actually a clown. Mom was so on board with the whole thing that she ate every single chocolate egg that I ever laid. I don't think they were chocolate. Yeah, I guess they thought I had stellar intelligence and keen self-awareness when I was 6 years old. That was also the age I was when I would dip a washcloth into the toilet and then suck the water out of it when I was thirsty. Thank you for affirming me, Mom and Dad.
Oh boy,
Drinking toilet water for okay. Sure.
Oh boy, we are in trouble, man. We are in serious trouble. You know, the son of Billy Graham, he had a convention earlier this year. One of the things that he spoke about, he said on that convention, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. There we go. So he said every demon in hell has turned loose. And he did address censorship in there, the ideology that we are talking about. There we go. So he spoke a little bit about that. So he said, a storm is coming where we are going to be off the radio and television and the internet, Graham said. So he had a 28 minutes. I plan on doing a reaction video to this on my Pastor James React. So make sure you go over there and subscribe. So it really shows at the heart of this whole ideology, there is this hatred toward the truth that is rooted in, in Judeo-Christian value. And he speak about that. And what he's saying, the spirit of the age has become so demonic, and the goal is to shut down any discussion that opposes it. But this is why I entitled this "Victory is Possible," because no matter what you see the devil's doing, guys, I just want to let you know, as long as we are on the side of truth, we already win. We won already. It's not even a discussion at this time. So it's not a concern. We don't have to be in despair. But I just want you to know, like, the truth is under attack because it is the truth. But at the end of the day, the truth always wins. So we don't have to worry about a thing.
Real pirates